Today, we're going to answer the age-old question. Do the French people love Americans, or do they simply tolerate us while judging us silently in the back?
With global rising tensions, the climate debates, and foreign policy decisions that is making Europe raise an eyebrow, we had to ask, do the French people still love Americans, or are Americans the people that you don't invite to dinner anymore?
So today we're hitting the streets of Paris to ask some local Parisians and some Americans mid-vacation if this is matching their romantic dreams or what is the reality.
Nothing changed, really.
It was a little concerned.
You've been in Paris multiple times.
I think at least 30.
I don't think they were talking about Americans. They were specifically talking about the American president.
From cultural appreciation to political frustration, this is a love story, or maybe a breakup. We're gonna find out. Allez, on y va. So, my darling, how's your experience to Paris so far? Do you feel welcome as an American in Paris and in France?
I feel very welcome in Paris as an American. I think that French people like Americans in general. There are people that say they like the American money. I don't think that's it. They probably appreciate that. But I think that they really like the optimism and the openness. Like there's a freedom that Americans have, a casualness that Americans have that's not very French. And I feel comfortable. I think I get a pass because they look at me and think I don't speak French. And when I try a little bit, I can get away with things that a French person never could just because I'm American.
One of the benefits to be a foreign, you get a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that part.
I got that for 35 years in America. Are you getting any side eye, or on the opposite side would be unexpected kindness as an American in Paris, particularly with the current climate?
I think I don't feel any difference really from the French people. If you're talking about like the politics, the tariffs, the new presidency and whatnot, I think I probably get more pushback or more something from other tourists that are expecting it to be different in France. And I might say that Canadians have a different feeling about it than the French do for Americans, but I don't feel anything different from the French people at all.
And we've been coming here for several decades, at least 25 to 30 years. And we were here with Clinton, we were here with George W. Bush, we were here with Obama, we were here with Biden. We've been here with all presidents, and we've never felt a difference.
No, if anything, I think that the French people were pretty astonished that the Americans elected a black man. They were amazed that Obama was president. But I think that it doesn't make a difference who's in charge this year or this 4 years. I think that they just relate to Americans as Americans and not as our leadership. Yeah, and something that we hear very often is if you treat the French with respect, they're going to respect you. If you appreciate them or, show them kindness, they're going to show kindness back to you. And it's just really person to person, like how you treat people, what you expect, that's what you draw towards you. And that's, something we've been hearing quite a bit.
Did you have any expectations about how the French would treat you as an American?
Before I moved to France, we were here so many times visiting, and we spent a lot of time in the suburbs and running around regular daily life. So we are not like the typical tourists that come and stay in a hotel in the middle of Saint-Germain. I did expect it to go well. I think the bigger expectation was about myself. I thought I would have an easier time blending, but I didn't have anything different from the French people or how they treated me. I didn't have that. I had a different expectation for myself.
Do you think the French people are judging you, even just a little bit?
Ooh, are the French people judging me? I think it depends on where you are. There are definitely places around France that I would say are much more than in Paris. I think in Paris, it's a very, very international city. Like just with the residents, it's an incredibly international city with tourists. Just the sheer volume of people coming from everywhere, you're going to find someone from, that's how it is. If you go outside of Paris, in a small town, they're going to look at you, like they'll stare at you. And in the beginning, I felt really uncomfortable about that. Like, they're looking at me like I don't belong, or I'm not, something's wrong with me, or if they were judging. I found out over time, that they weren't necessarily judging me. They were just looking at me like I was something bizarre in their neighborhood because they don't get a lot of tourists in the small towns. But I don't think it was judgment. I thought it was judgment in the beginning, but I don't think it was.
I want to tell you something. I felt the exact same in many small towns in the U.S.
Yeah.
as a French guy, like they look at me like Antoine Dupont, like what, you ain't from around here, you know, it's just so, I think it's universal. You know, people make it about the French and it's like, well, it's the same in the US.
Yep.
Have you had any awkward or funny moment trying to blend in?
I remember a time in the grocery store when, I couldn't figure out the laundry soap versus the floor cleaning soap versus whatever. And I stopped and mustered my best French at the time to ask a woman, you know, it was like, do you wash clothing with this soap? No, I asked her, you know, like, what kind of soap is this? And she just looked at me like, you know, like, it's your clothes, your vêtements, you know, like what a dumb question. And I felt pretty stupid. There was a time when I was getting my hair cut and I had no idea at all how to explain how I wanted my hair to be cut. And I just told her in broken French, you know, do whatever you want. And there was another woman who spoke English in there. She's like, she wants to know if you really mean do whatever you want with your hair, you know. And all I could think is if I don't like it, it'll grow back. But it would be so much easier to grow my hair back than to sit here and try and explain to her what I wanted her to do. There's just little silly things. If you keep a sense of humor and, you know, it's any misunderstanding that I might have with a foreign speaker in the U.S., same thing.
How do you think French people view the current U.S. political climate?
For those who think that the French love Americans for the money, it's got to be great because they have a lot more buying power. But I think that mostly French people are confused that America voted Trump. They don't respect the president, but they do respect the people. They're just confused about it. And, you know, we've had some people ask, you know, is it safe? And the best I can figure is it's a lot more safe in France than it would be in any town in the U.S. where a Republican was talking to a Democrat, you know, or a Trump voter speaking to a non-Trump voter. You probably get a lot more pushback, feedback, flack in the U.S. than you would get here. Because here, all they want to know is, you know, do you want a poivre sauce or béarnaise on your steak?
It's more inquisitive. They're more curious. They're more like, how do you feel about it?
Are you getting what you expected?
And by the way, it was the exact same thing with George W. Bush. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, once in a while you like to think. And I've had people in the U.S. asking me about Le Pen. You know, how do you guys feel about it? It's like we have anything to do with it. So I
think more than anything, to your point, I don't know how many Americans know who Le Pen is. You know, the French are more maybe aware of American politics or global politics than the Americans are about European politics in many ways. I don't know that a lot of Americans know what's going on in French politics.
Well, I want to tell you something. I think you could ask a lot of Parisian who's the prime minister of Belgium, and a lot of them would not know. But everybody knows who the American president is.
And they always
so
have.
it's about the size of the country and the influence of the country. Yeah. What do you admire about French culture that you wish we had more of in the States?
What I admire about French culture is they have a much better experience of life-work balance. Like when you're off, you're off. Nobody over here is checking their work email over the weekend. It doesn't happen. You sit down for lunch, you're not having a quick bite at your desk. Most people don't do a fast food something for lunch. Even if you grab a sandwich in a bakery, you're going to go relax in a park and, you know, take a nap or read a book or just walk around and smell flowers. It's like there's a very relaxed pace to life, and the culture is everywhere here. So there's just, I don't know, there's a lot of different kind of awareness and a way to enjoy life.
Yeah, it's a slower pace. I've been frustrated that people didn't return my email on the weekend, and I have to remind myself, oh yeah, they're off.
Don't even bother sending it. Wait till Monday morning.
Or after 6 p.m. Do you think that Americans are misunderstood abroad, or do we kind of do it to ourselves?
Well, I think it depends. You know, it's like any kind of a tourist. If you're an ugly tourist, you're an ugly tourist no matter where you're from. And I know a lot of French people look at Americans as loud. You know, like there's no question. You know, there's a look that's American that goes with loud. And that being said, French people and Americans, like you can hardly tell them apart anymore. You know, the number of French people running around with a New York hat or an LA shirt or something, like you can't always tell the difference anymore. Even if the French people are looking more and more American in their demeanor, I think it has to do with, you know, people that come here with certain expectations. If you come here expecting French people to be rude, you're going to find rude people. anyway, because you're looking for them. If you are over here expecting everything to happen or be just like it is in the US, you're going to be disappointed because it's not. Like, there are cultural differences that are, you know, just a way of life. So I think that those misunderstandings just come from not doing your homework to understand the culture you're going into, or just for expecting it to be exactly how it was at home.
Actually, what's interesting for me is that, you know, most of France don't like Parisians, a tourist.
That's right.
And they view Parisians as loud, impatient, rude. If you're polite and, you know, you behave yourself, you're going to be accepted worldwide. And if you are demanding, entitled, and rude, you're going to have a tough time.
Yeah. A Parisian to another small town in France is kind of like, you know, measuring somebody from Mississippi against a New Yorker. It's, you know, it's just a different pace, a different expectation.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. My last question, if a French person asked you to explain the American vibe in one sentence, what would you say?
I would say in one sentence, the vibe of the American culture is casual, ambitious, and go-getter. Yeah, it's just, there's a strong drive, for the most part, a belief that I can and I should be able to, and a casualness. It's a very casual, friendly thing versus a very formal, you know, you have to earn the right to be friends here.
Right.
In the US, it's just like we're already friends and we just haven't met yet kind of a thing. By the way, if you're nervous about making a faux pas or some cultural mistake in Paris, we put together a cheat sheet with some information you may want to know about how to behave when you're in a French restaurant. There's a link in the description below. Check it out and see if it's for you.
My name's Sean. I'm with my wife, Julie, and we did just arrive in Paris, and we're here for 4 days, and then we'll tour some more of Europe. We're very excited.
Tell me, do you have any expectations or any concerns about engaging with French people?
A little nervous, but at the same time, eager to exercise my vocabulary and try to engage with, you know, more people and different nationalities and cultures.
Do you have any expectation about being judged by French people?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think just that nervousness and wanting to at least show an effort that we're trying to adapt to their country and not just be a person that comes in and expects them to adapt to us. Along with that comes, you know, a little nervousness and fear that you're going to mess up, and I'm sure we will.
If a French person asked you to sum up what is the American vibe in a quick sentence, what would you say?
Fairly relaxed. I don't think it's very formal. I think it's a little more casual. I think there's also more day-to-day hustle and bustle.
I think you hit it right on. Great job.
Put me in the outtakes.
So tell me, sir, what is your name?
My name is Elias.
Elias. What has your experience of French people been? How do they treat Americans here for you?
They've been phenomenal. Actually, I was thinking about that the other day, thinking about how we've been greeted and treated at our hotel. I'm really very pleasantly surprised at the service and kindness that we've been met with.
Were you expecting to be judged?
Not really,
Okay.
no. There have been a few politically oriented comments that we heard, but not in a judgmental way.
Okay.
But more in a surprised way.
You mentioned that some people had things to say about politics. What kinds of things are they saying?
The people who spoke to us about this were actually friends, and then from Belgium. They're not
Okay.
French, and they cannot understand how so-called leaders would behave the way they are and how they think they own the world.
Got it.
That's basically it.
Something like an American exceptionalism, you know, the Americans are the best kind of thinking?
Not the Americans. No, I don't think they were talking about Americans. They were specifically talking about the American president.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is your name and where are you from?
My name is Annie Lytle, Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. How long have you been in Paris?
You lose track of time once you're here. I think 5 days.
Okay, so you've been here for a little while. You've had a chance to experience French people.
Yes.
Do you feel judged by the French?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Did you have any expectations or anything about how the French would be with you?
That it would be lovely.
Okay, it sounds like a self-fulfilling prophecy for sure. Have you had any funny situations, I don't know, with language or money or culture or things? Have you had anything funny happening?
I had a person ask me in the subway today in French about something. I don't know what it was. I loved being mistaken for being French.
It's funny because years ago, it used to be that it was really obvious which ones were the Americans.
Yeah.
And today you kind of can't tell. Has it been difficult for you being here not speaking French?
No, it hasn't at all. You just say the key words and then they start speaking in English. So it's great.
If you had to explain to a French person what is the vibe of Americans or American culture, what would you say is the vibe?
Tense, stressful. Sometimes, if you think about it, it's a little frightening.
Do you mean that currently or?
Currently,
Okay.
yes.
Do you feel like there's a difference in the way that Americans are viewed because of the current politics or tariffs or anything?
No, I don't. And that was a question that some of my friends and relatives said, are you sure you want to go now? Well, of course, why not?
Is it safe being an American in Paris today?
Absolutely.
There you have it. So can you tell me briefly, what is your name? Where are you from?
I'm Sarah from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay.
And I'm Julie from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay, Sarah and Julie. How long have you been in Paris?
About a week and a half.
A week and a half.
Yes.
Oh, good. So you've been here for long enough to have some experiences and things. Were you nervous when you came about being safe?
Yes, we're female travelers and also coming from the United States, but everything has gone very smoothly. What would you say?
Similarly, being from Michigan, we were even joking, should we pretend that we're Canadian, for instance, and should we tell people we're Canadian because we were fearful with the current political climate, how French people may receive us. But so far, everybody has been friendly and wonderful, no confrontation at all. So we have not had any problems.
Were you expecting to be judged or to come in contact with rude French people? Like, what was your expectation?
I wasn't, because I watch your videos and I'm part of the Facebook group. I didn't think that people would be outwardly mean to us, but it was a little concerned. Again, that's why we thought we'll say we're Canadian. But it was a little concerned.
Yes, and like your tips, as long as you say bonjour and parlez-vous anglais, really everybody is just so friendly and nice and willing to speak English.
And if we're nice to them, if we extend kindness and try our best to speak French and say bonjour and just be kind, and you receive kindness in return.
Did you speak any French?
Me? No.
I spent a little time before we came just studying basic phrases and terms, but nothing that I could keep a conversation. And so far, everything has been wonderful. Even the people who speak little French still were able to converse and be kind to each other and point things out. So we haven't had any problems.
Have you had any funny or awkward or whatever incidents since you've been here?
I don't know if I can think of any, to tell you the truth.
Not yet. Maybe more to come.
we think it's funny and interesting when people can pinpoint us as English speaking and American before we even say anything. So we're like, what is it? We're like, oh, it must be the clothes, it must be the look. So even before we say bonjour, they're like, hello, and so they know we speak English. But so far, nothing.
It's been great.
Yeah, nothing too awkward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell me briefly, what is your name? Where are you from?
So my name is Susie Furkl. I'm originally from Indiana, but I live in the Villages in Florida.
I think you told me earlier that you've been in Paris multiple times.
I think at least 30
times.
from the first time that I came in 1967.
Okay. Does it feel different now than it felt on previous trips?
I would say yes in a lot of ways. Number one, I think Annie Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, has done an absolutely fabulous job of sensitizing the French people to how Americans are different.
Okay.
So you can always tell an American by the loudness of our voices, by our expectations. And the French sometimes appear rude, but they're not rude. It's just they're different.
Have you experienced or witnessed any kind of misunderstandings being an American here?
No, not me, because I'm a French speaker.
Okay.
And it does make a difference. So I would encourage anybody who's planning to come to France to find either an online program or a teacher, teaching adults, and at least learn the 5 important words, hello, goodbye, please, thank you, and you're welcome. And I believe that the French, their hearts are so big, they open right up.
Have you had anything awkward happening?
Actually,
Funny things.
Actually, no. I've been very fortunate. I think that you have to be aware of your age and what your capacity is for what you can do. And Paris is a city that there is so much to see. You cannot see it all. And I love how people say, we're coming for 3 days. What should we see? Well, you can't see Paris in 3 days. Okay, better to not see the things that everybody else sees and just walk around and enjoy the ambiance and sit in a cafe and eat a croissant and have 3 chocolate mousse and 3 crème brûlée and then decide which ones are the best and then plan your next trip.
As a woman of a certain age, what advice would you give to other women or other people of a certain age? And do you feel safe as a woman? I know, like, politically or whatever, but do you feel safe as a person of a certain age going around in Paris?
I feel very safe. Yeah, I'm not going to do anything stupid. You won't find me hanging out in Pigalle at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll be asleep for a long time. But also, don't try to cram too much in, okay? Think about what you can accomplish and what you can do and enjoy that.
What would you say is the number one cultural difference that people traveling to Paris should be aware of?
The fact that the French are much more distant than we Americans are. We're much more casual people. The French still have a certain distance about them. And once they get to know you, they are so delightful.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
So tell me briefly, what is your name, where are you from, and how long have you been here?
I'm Pat Huan. I'm from Oakdale, California, and I've been here since last Wednesday.
Okay.
So almost a week.
Cool. That means you've been here long enough to experience French people engaging with you.
And they've been absolutely fabulous and gracious everywhere I've been.
Is it safe for Americans to visit Paris now?
I certainly have not felt unsafe at all. I went on a La Califfe evening tour and had dinner, and it was about 10 o'clock when we got back, and I'm staying in Saint Germain, and I walked back to my hotel and felt perfectly safe.
Perfect. Do you speak French?
No.
Has it been difficult for you navigating Paris not speaking French?
Absolutely not.
How do you get by?
Bonjour, bonsoir, parlez-vous anglais?
Okay.
And merci.
Have you had any awkward, funny engagements with people, with misunderstandings, anything like that?
None. Only one time was I asked for a tip.
Okay.
Which annoyed me. And unfortunately, I did leave him a tip anyway.
That's not a problem. It just, it's a choice, and they may go above and beyond and whatnot. It's just the thing about tipping is we don't have to expect it the way that we do in the U.S.
Right.
So it's entirely up to you.
Well, it was just for a beer.
Okay. Being an American in this political climate with tariffs and all of the other things that are going on, have the French come to you with any comments about politics?
Absolutely not. I was telling Colleen, I was the mayor of the city where I lived for 12 years, so I came prepared. And absolutely no one has mentioned American politics to me at all.
Good to know. Have you experienced feeling judged by the French?
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Actually, this is the oldest I've ever been in France, and I think they take better care of me the older I get.
Okay, that's good to know too. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. So, Antoine.
Yeah.
What is the first word that comes to mind when you hear the word American?
Friendly, but there is this thing of, when you come from America, you arrive here and everything is so gorgeous, and it's like, all the pictures that you've seen, this that they have with Paris is actually infectious. And this is why most of the guys we talk to love Americans, because they're like, oh, I'd rather take Americans visiting Paris over at least French people, which will be more critical and, like that.
Do you think Americans are more loved, disliked, or misunderstood in France right now?
Yeah, completely. I think that the latest elections had people stumped, just like really surprised about America. And I mean, you got to look at it from the perspective of the French people, because they're not involved in the politics. But, they've gone through Clinton, which was, playing saxophone on TV with sunglasses. And then you have George W. Bush, that was another thing. And, and he wasn't popular there either. Then you had Obama, and then a lot of French people were completely amazed at Obama because, it's just a black man elected the leader of the most powerful country on earth. And that was big. And then you have Biden, and then you have Trump. And I think they don't understand why Americans would vote for this man. He's not popular here. And I'm not making this video, and I'm not saying this. I'm not trying to say one way or the other. I'm just telling you he's not popular here. As a reflection of that, they're more inquisitive. I mean, that's my take on it. It's like, what happened?
What is one thing that Americans do that just makes you go, no?
They can be loud, and in the French culture, we're a lot more subdued, a lot more formal. So it's that thing where sometimes like the Americans will say the French people are rude. It's like, it's not rude. It's like you're too much. And sometimes with Americans, it's not so much in Paris, but a bit of a sense of entitlement when it comes to service. I'm paying you money, therefore I get service. And it doesn't work here like that. I mean, the worst thing you could say to someone is, I have a lot of money, I want the best. And that's going to be a long day for you.
What do you actually like about Americans?
Casualness, friendliness, open-mindedness. I mean, I would much prefer, honestly, going to a party with Americans than I would with French.
Is there something Americans assume that the French are thinking about them? Or is that just not true?
Everything they assume about the French related to Americans is untrue. I mean, unless they've lived here for 10, 15 years, and then they can make an assumption. But mostly everything they get from social media or YouTube videos is inaccurate. One of them is that, the French are rude. And we're not rude. It's, the best way to do it, to say it, is like when you come to France, is I think about that you're going to be talking to the school principal. What type of behavior would you have when you're going to speaking to the school principal? You're gonna, stand up straight and be a lot more formal. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Yes, thank you, please. All those things. And that's the way to approach the French, because they're far more formal than Americans. Americans are like, hi. When we go to a party in the U.S., it's like you arrive, hi, everybody, and then bye, everybody. And in France, it's not like that. It says bonjour, mwah, mwah, mwah. Everybody gets a kiss, and the hellos take forever, the goodbyes take forever. That's just, it's cultural differences.
Are American tourists actually liked or considered bad by the French? Is that a myth?
Yeah, it's a complete myth. Americans are by far, I would say, the most loved tourist in Paris and France in general. Actually, I will say in many places more than the French or other Europeans. And for a couple of reasons. The first one is the buying power. I mean, Americans have big buying power, bigger buying power than many European countries, although that may change with politics, but I don't know enough about economy to know whether that's going to be true or not. But so it's definitely the buying power. And when they come to France or Europe, it's a lifelong dream. So they want to spend, they want to get the wine, they want to get the champagne, they want to get the food. Like, they don't want to skip on stuff, where the French would be like, how much is this, how much is that? So that would be that.
And how do you feel about living in the U.S.? Is it a yes, a no? Like, how do you feel about it? Better or worse?
Well, it's tense. We kind of live in the belly of the beast. We live in Florida. How do I feel about it? I feel weird. I wonder if that's not the growing pain of a democracy in motion. And wow, that's painful. From my standpoint, look, I respect everybody's opinion, but Jesus, that's really a painful transition. And if that's part of the process, then be it. But I understand why people want to leave. And I also understand why people want to stay and fight. I think both of them are very honorable. Okay, so first of all, what's your name?
I'm Tibo.
Tibo?
Yeah. I'm the owner of Pépite and
yes.
pairing with cheese. So
that's right. So you're the owner of a cavist,
yeah,
which is a wine store and tasting room. Do you have a lot of Americans that come to your shop?
Yeah, I think it's 25% of my customers here.
Okay.
So yeah, because the Sixth Borough is really known for American tourists.
Be honest with me. What is the first word you think when you think of Americans?
For me, because my vision of America is big.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I'm sports fan, and the events are big, the city are big. So it's for me, it's the way to think, but bigger than the regular.
Right. Yeah. So, the oversize of America.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything is large, right? So do you think that Americans right now are more disliked, misunderstood, or it's the same for you
No, I don't think so. It's the same. Politics, we don't care about that, so it's the same. And the vision of Parisian guy is the same from US. We like US, or it's not a problem for us.
I'm with you on that. What is one thing that you like about Americans, or one is the one thing that you see with Americans?
They're really kind. They said, hello, how are you? It's not French. In French, we don't say hello. People say, how are you today? And it's something really, really kind when you say great energy, receive great energy like that.
Yeah.
For us, it's not normal. And I said, the first time I said, it's bizarre. People say, hello, how are you? They don't know me, but they said, how are you? So it's kind of, but, and after the first talk, you said, oh, people are so nice, or more open than the French guy.
Yeah.
The French, you are on the reserve and you say, I don't know you, so I make a distance between us.
Yeah.
And in America, there is no that problem.
Yeah, they're kind of afraid if you do that. Like the French people would be like, "What do you want from me? Like, why are you so friendly?"
You're in our circle of trust, and but in my opinion, it's false.
Yeah.
When you say hello, how are you? It's something kind, and you have to receive it.
Yeah. And what is one thing that you don't like of Americans? You can be honest. If there's nothing, there's nothing. But is there one thing?
Sometimes they speak too loud.
That's going to be the last question. Would you live in the United States right now?
Right now, I think it's kind of impossible for people from the
But even if you could,
this is my dream to live in there. So I said yes.
But where in the United States?
It depends. I want 1 year to traveling all around US, and after a spot like New York, but more East Coast.
East Coast,
West Coast for holidays, for the wine, for everything. But for a safe place for 1, 2, 3 years. More the East Coast, New York, Boston, and Atlanta, and not the South, not the Florida. I love Florida, but I think it's more for holidays too. Right. But more the East Coast is.
Boston, New York.
It's more like our culture, so I'm not here disturbed by the misculture I have from US.
And even right now with what's going on politically, you would go and you would
no problem. Traveling, of course.
Yeah, you have no issue.
No issue at all.
Okay, great. Well, there you have it. So I'm asking my brother, please introduce yourself. But what's your name? What's your name and what do you do in Paris?
My name is Vincent Dupont.
Yes.
I am your brother.
My older brother.
The nice-looking one, by the way. And I make tour in Paris for the last years. Food tour, historical, cultural, and food tour with most of them were the people from North America.
Americans, Canadians too?
Canadian too, of course. Some
Australians?
from Australian, South America, English, and sometime in Europe. But most of them are American and Canadian.
Be honest with me. Yeah. What is the first word you think of when you think of Americans?
Oh, they're very easy people. I love them. Very funny. I love them. This is very simple to work with Americans.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, yeah. Much more than with European people.
Yeah.
They're very friendly.
Yeah.
And they love very easily, and this is very, very nice.
Yeah. Has your opinion of American change since what's going on right now in the current political climate? Has your opinion about Americans changed?
No, not at all. No. Sometimes they're a little bit afraid about to come in France. They are not very comfortable, but to me, they are just American. And I make a difference with what happened between the two countries about the administration and with the American people. Yeah. So for me, there is no change really with the relationship I do have with Americans from now. From the last month, nothing changed really.
Would you ever live in America right now? Would you actually move to America right now?
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's something you would.
No, I'm not ready for that. Maybe we gotta wait a little bit.
Yeah, that's something that would be.
No, like most of the European people and most of the French to move in America. No, not actually.
You would not travel over there either.
No.
And that's strictly about what's going on. And
of course,
yeah,
I still like America and American people, but about what's going on, I will say no. Yeah, I will pick another country for sure.
Another country. Yeah. Okay.
No
okay. Fair.
Really.
Is there something that the Americans assume or think about the French that isn't true? Like the thing that they think about us, that you say they always say that about us, but it's not true?
Not really.
But one of them that I hear often, and I'll kind of lead the witness here, is like they say that the French people are rude.
No, I don't think so. if you don't say bonjour when you come in a shop and you don't say bonjour with a smile, people are going to be very rude with you. So you have to say, even you just say bonjour or merci, bonjour with a smile, that's going to be just okay. That's
it,
why
yeah.
many Americans told me, Vincent, we have a question for you. Why do French hate Americans? I said, that's not true. That's not true at all. We hate everybody.
We feel the same about the English.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the
No.
Italians. No, but it's
no,
not
no,
true.
rude.
That's
Well,
not
this
true.
is big city, you know. This is the same problem when you are in New York, when you are downtown London, Berlin, whatever. The big city, you know, this is so different than in my small village. My small village is 1,300 people from 18 miles away from here. Everybody know each other. It's different in the big city. So
Yeah.
this is just a feeling. So if you come from a small town from the USA
Yeah.
and you're in Paris, are you first timer? You're going to be very surprised. But when you come from a big city, everything is normal.
Right. And so any American that feels, is it safe for me to come to Paris or to Europe right now with what's going on? What would you tell them?
Well, Paris is a very safe city. Of course, you have pickpockets sometime in the subway.
Well, I'm not talking about the pickpocket. I'm talking about the safety as an American
this-
because of
No. This is very safe, and because we do have a lot of tourists in Paris. Remember this: France is smaller than Texas State for a country of 68 million French,
Right.
and we have more than 100 million tourists. More than 100 million tourists a year.
Right.
So we have policemen everywhere, soldiers with cameras from everywhere. So it's very safe. So I'm a real Parisian. I never be attacked anywhere in Paris.
Right.
Never, for sure.
Yeah.
So you can walk in Paris. Of course, you have some district. It's not that safe if you are a solo traveler as a woman. Of course not. But in many places, that the touristic place is very, very safe.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about it.
I've talked with some Americans, and I would say, I mean, if you came to Paris with a MAGA hat, you know, the red hat, and then a T-shirt that says, you know, Trump, I think you'll get people that roll their eyes at you. They'll be like,
Yeah, we don't care.
we don't care,
Well,
like whatever.
we use-
But I believe that you would be safer with this in Paris than you would be in Boston or Austin, Texas.
Exactly. You know what we used to say as a philosophy country? Voltaire is a philosopher and a writer in France, and he used to say, I disagree with you, but I will fight all my life to make you able to say it. You got a part of the truth, I got a part of the truth, maybe the truth is in the middle. So we accept basically that
Yeah.
you are different.
All right, cool.
You know.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
You good?
Well, I am.
All right. You know, the French, when we say goodbye, we kiss each other. So,
Okay.
Mwah. Thank you. Salut, ma poule.
Well, we don't say moi. Moi is American. So we just do this, you know.
Easy with your hands.
In this video, we told you how Parisians really feel about Americans. And next, I would watch this video with 25 top attractions in Paris.